Hey everybody, Married Man here. I was making a dog crate end table for our new puppy, our new Yorkie poo. I needed a floor for it, and I thought what a better floor than one's easy to clean up, like Formica. And I'm going to show you how to apply the Formica to plywood. Let me show you what I did. So the floor is actually on a 1/4 inch sheet of plywood. I attached the Formica and then attach that plywood to another sheet of plywood for the base. And I'm going to show you how to do that. This is not finished. I'll show you the process today, how to attach laminate to plywood and plywood to plywood. After laying out the size and the shape of the plywood I needed, I used my circular saw with a plywood blade to make the cuts. This is a 1/4 inch plywood that I bought at the blue box store down the street. You could also cut this out using a table saw or a jigsaw or even a handsaw. I was cutting this to the inside dimensions of our pet crate. This piece of plywood will then be adhered to the base piece of plywood, but the Formica laminate needs to adhere to this piece of 1/4 inch plywood and be an exact fit. Regardless of the project, the process will be the same. After these cuts, the corners still needed some trimming up with a razor blade, so I did that to finish it off. Then I took the plywood blade off of my circular saw and installed it on my table saw. But you could use the circular saw for this cut. Some others online even use a utility knife by scoring and then snapping the excess laminate, but I have no experience with that method. For the circular saw or the table saw, you want to make sure to use a narrow blade with at least 40 teeth, and taping the cut line first before you make the cut may prevent chipping if you're cutting close to your final dimensions. But I'm leaving plenty of extra room to position the laminate, so I'm not worried about that. To form the bond between the Formica laminate and the plywood, I'm using DAP, Weldwood contact cement. Keep in mind that the air and the materials needs to be at least 65 degrees Fahrenheit for over 24 hours before you do this application. That's 18 degrees Celsius for anyone who wants to know. You need to stir the contact cement thoroughly with a standard paint paddle or a stirring stick. Both surfaces should be clean and dry before you apply the cement. You need to apply cement to both surfaces. I'm using a roller here, but you could also use a paintbrush or even a sprayer if you have the correct equipment. Any paintbrush should do, but there are requirements for the sprayer. If you use a roller, make sure it's a short nap roller. You see here that I just poured some of the cement in the middle of the Formica, and I used the roller to roll it out and distribute it over the whole piece. And now we'll apply it to the piece of plywood as well. Once this is complete, we'll wait about 15 to 20 minutes, and the cement should be tacky to the touch and appear glossy. Some people may touch the surface with craft paper, and if it pulls away cleanly, then it's ready. If you wait more than 2 hours, you're probably going to need to apply another coat to reactivate the adhesive. Most people use dowels, but I didn't have dowels, so I found scrap pieces of wood that I will call dowels. We lay the laminate on the dowels and carefully align the laminate so that there will be overlap on all sides of the plywood. And whenever you see it, don't worry about the dowels sticking to the surfaces, because contact cement seals to other contact cement. It's like magic. Whenever we get there, we remove one dowel at a time, allowing the two surfaces to make contact. We smooth this out as we go, because it cannot be adjusted after the surfaces make contact. It's recommended that you use a J roller or an extension handle roller like I did here to roll it out from the middle, making sure you get good pressure. You need 25 pounds of pressure per inch as you roll it out. Most people then use a trim router or a palm router with a flush trim bit to remove excess but this project was small enough for me to use my router table. Either way, you need to align the bit so that the roller on the bit can follow the plywood and the cutters can remove the excess material to make it flush. I'll put a link to a quick video on the router bit in the notes below. If you don't have a router with a flush trim bit, then you may be able to trim it pretty close with a jigsaw if you have a fine tooth blade. You could make it completely flush with a belt sander after that, or use a sander as long as you use 100 grit sandpaper. I've seen these methods mentioned online, but I don't have any experience with them, so I cannot show them here. I believe you could adhere the laminate to the plywood before you make your cut, but you'll need to be careful about having chip out. From what I saw online, you can minimize chipping by keeping the laminate face up if you're cutting with a table saw, and if you're cutting from handheld tool, then you'll want the laminate face down. As you see, after we finished trimming the excess laminate, we had the surface we wanted for the bottom of our dog crate. I then need to check the fit inside the dog crate and prepare to attach the floor of the dog crate to a 3/4 inch piece of plywood. I used a professional woodworker's weight, also known as a crate of water, to hold it in place while I marked its position on the thicker plywood. With this attached to the thicker plywood, that will become the base to our dog crate. After marking the position for the floor on the plywood base, we can start applying contact cement within the lines on the base, and we're going to completely cover the bottom of the floor. I'm using the same DAP Weldwood contact cement that we used earlier to laminate the Formica to the 1/4 inch plywood. This time I'm using a paintbrush instead of the roller that I used earlier. Remember, you can use a short nap roller, a sprayer, or a paintbrush. Once you get these both surfaces coated, remember to wait at least 15 minutes and the cement should be tacky to the touch and appear glossy. And if you wait more than 2 hours, then you're going to need to reapply the contact cement in order to reactivate the adhesive. Everything you've seen in this video has been information according to my research. You need to do your own research and apply safety as you go throughout making your own projects. With the adhesive ready, it's now time to apply these together. I don't use the dowels this time because the top board is stiff and I can just line up to the lines that I drew around it previously. Now it's time to apply some real pressure with our extension handle roller, or a J roller if that's what you have, working from the center and applying as much pressure as you can. The instructions say to apply at least 25 pounds per square inch. I don't know how much that is, so I just put all my weight into it and figured that was good enough. You really want to lean into this. I could have saved $21 by using my wife's kitchen roller instead of buying this roller, but for $21, I thought this was a safer bet. Well, everybody, that's it. That's how you attach laminate to plywood and plywood to plywood. I hope it was informative. I hope you'll subscribe and ring that bell so you get notifications of future videos. I'm going to have videos coming out how I made this top and how I made the whole crate and other exciting videos. Hit that bell so you get notification. I hear my wife calling. I gotta go.